Wow, the Gospel according to St. John. There are 4 Gospel writers, just a small introduction. These 18 verses, it will probably take us about 10 to 15 times to go through them, sessions or lectures. So today is going to be just verse 1, and hopefully we'll be able to finish it. There are 4 Gospel writers. The Lord Jesus, while on earth, He chose first 12 disciples, and then after them He chose 70, for your own information. While He was on earth, He chose 12 and then 70. The 12 disciples walked with Him, lived with Him, listened to Him, and followed Him wherever He went for 3.5 years. Why is there 4 Gospel writers only out of the 12? Every human being, there is 4 profiles to that person. There is the front, the face, there is the back, there is the right side, and there is the left side. Whenever we want to make a complete judgment of a person, we want to see the picture in its entirety, in its fullness. We need to look at the 4 profiles of that person before we open our mouths. Otherwise, our judgment will be extremely short of giving its justice. So there is the face, there is the back, there is the right side, and there is the left side. Saint Matthew looked at Jesus Christ of Nazareth, and he saw Him as the Son of Man. Saint Mark looked at the Lord Jesus from another perspective, and he saw Him as the King. Saint Luke looked at the Lord Jesus, and then he said, I see the perfect servant. And then Saint John, which is our topic today, looked at Jesus Christ of Nazareth, all glory to His holy and mighty name, and he said, I see God. So Matthew says, I see the Messiah as the Son of Man, human being like us. Mark says, I see Him as the King. Luke says, I see Him as the servant. John says, I see Him as God. So when we take the 4 Gospels and we put them together, we see this perfect picture of who Jesus Christ of Nazareth truly is. Matthew, humanity. John, divinity. Mark, king. Luke, servant. Let's put it together. John, divinity, was revealed in humanity. Matthew, in the end times, came to this world to be king over your life, to serve you in Luke, not to be served by you. John, divinity, revealed in humanity. Matthew came to this world to be the king over your life in Mark, to serve you in Luke, and not to be served by you. We all know all the kings of the world get served by people. Jesus Christ is the only King of all kings that came to serve us, not us serving Him. Now, the Gospel according to St. John is talking about Jesus Christ as the divine, as God Himself. And he introduces Jesus Christ to the entire world. He says to the world, behold, God has become man in the end of times. The symbols for these 4 Gospel writers, we find them in 2 places. One in the Old Testament, the other in the New Testament. In the Old Testament, Ezekiel chapter 1 verse 10. And in the New Testament, Revelation chapter 4 verse 7. It talks about, one symbol is the face of a human being, Son of Man, and that is the Gospel according to St. Matthew. The other one is a lion. That is the gospel according to Saint Mark. Lion is the king of the jungle. That symbolically represents Jesus Christ as the king of all kings. And then Luke, the symbol of the gospel according to Saint Luke, is the oxen or the calf, and that is the servant, because with this calf or the oxen, what happens? All its life works in the field, all its life, and at the end of its life, they slay it and eat it. Jesus Christ worked all his life, and at the end, he was slain on the cross, and he said, "This is my body, eat it, and this is my blood, drink it." And then the symbol of the gospel according to Saint John is the eagle, the flying eagle. And that is the divinity of Christ. Now, out of all the birds of the sky, eagles have certain characteristics other birds do not. Number one, the eagle flies very high altitudes where other birds cannot do so. Number two, the eagle has an eyesight that he can see a rabbit running from about 5 to 6 kilometers or 7 kilometers away. He can see a rabbit running 5 to 7 kilometers away. And the eagle can stare into the sun without damaging its eyes. He can look into the sun, no problems. We cannot. Now the sun here, in the biblical term, that is the divinity of Christ. So an eagle is when you fly high into the divine and have an insight into that divine without being hurt or damaged. Now, a piece of advice to all of us. Whenever we come to read the Holy Bible, every chapter of the Bible has that opening key. I've said this before and I say it again. When a professional musician comes to play a piece of music, they give that musician a chart. They put that chart in front of them. At the very beginning, the chart is full of black notes. But there is one key that is in red at the very start. Before you go into the notes, there is one key that is in red. The professional musician looks at that key that is in red, and by looking at the key, he or she, they know straight away what kind of a scale they will be playing in. And since they know what kind of a scale, they will know exactly what kind of notes are expecting coming their way. This is when you are professional. If you do not look at the key and guess what you are playing, you will ruin the whole chart. It is exactly the same principle here. Every chapter in the Holy Bible, unless we use the right key, unless we read the right key, unless we open that book with the right key, we will misinterpret the entire book. It is absolute disastrous. And this is why so many false teachings came on board, and especially in recent years. Why? Because the key was misread, misinterpreted, and lost altogether. When we come to the gospel according to Saint John, knowing that the key is one word, which is the title of our topic today, the Logos. The Logos. When we come to this key and we unlock this gospel, by knowing the Logos, we'll understand what is written in the entire gospel according to Saint John.